Alright, so I did something different with the health. It's still relatively the same. So like it'll have like the where's the player? It still has like the current health and max health, but I went with a Crash Bandicoot and Mario route where if you pick up a item, it will, give you more health. So right now it's set to 1 and the max health is 2. So if I pick up the mask over here, changes how the player looks and it makes the health 2 instead of 1. So let's see here. If I hit an enemy, it will go to let me hit this checkpoint over here. So if I hit the enemy, it's gonna take away the mask and uh, decrease the health. And if I go over here, the player is in a dead state. Now I don't have it where it changed, like the scene resets or whatever, but I do have it set up where if the scene is reloaded, it'll put the player to a new checkpoint. So you see how it spawned me over here? I'm gonna hit this one right here, this checkpoint. Stop the game. You see how the player, I have it by default right here. If I hit play, it will put me there. And I have like a debug button here where if I step into this, I'm gonna come over here, way over here, and if I press the debug button to put me back at the checkpoint, it puts me back over there. So that's set up. And how I did that was I made a checkpoint, which is right here. This is where the checkpoint script is at, and I have a checkpoint manager under a game manager, which is just labeled GM. So basically, every checkpoint is going to reference the checkpoint manager. And if the player enters the checkpoint, it basically sets the current checkpoint into the manager. So if I hit this checkpoint right here, it's going to be the one that goes into the current manager. And if I hit this one, that one's going to be the current checkpoint hit, or last checkpoint, whatever you prefer. And once that does, it saves a player pref. So I just named it X position and Y position, and I put it to the current transform position of the X and Y of the checkpoint. And then in the checkpoint manager at the start, I tried doing it in awake and it just didn't work for some reason, so I just put it in start and it just worked perfectly fine. But basically, like a float right up here that doesn't need to be public, I'm gonna go ahead and set them hidden and try that out, or private. And so we got the X float, which is the X position, which was set here, and then we got the Y position too. And I basically just take the player, the transform position of the player, and just set it to the vector 2 of the X and Y, which is the player prep save point. So let me try it out with it being private. If it needs to be public, then I'll just set it back to public, which it shouldn't need to be public. But you can see over here the current checkpoint. That's the checkpoint over here, and then over here it changes it. So let me get out of here, go over here, Alright, and now if I reload it, by default I have it set to that first checkpoint, and yeah, there we go. It sets it to this checkpoint.